So quick follow-up on diagnosing the slam fire issue on this MG42 and 308. It is a semi-automatic parts kit build with a re-welded receiver. It uses a BRP second gen bolt with an AR-15 fire control group. The issue I noticed was when there was one round in the chamber with no belt on the feed tray. If I'd pull the trigger, the hammer would go forward, it would fire, the bolt would come to the rear, catch on the semi-automatic disconnect, I'd let go, semi-automatic disconnect would disconnect, and the hammer's ready to fire again. I drop the hammer by pulling the trigger. Of course, there's no second round that was chambered, so it would just be hearing the hammer fly forward. But as soon as I introduced a belt of ammunition onto the feed tray along with one in the chamber, it would slam fire. And what I didn't take note of at the range was after the slam fire, if I let go of the trigger, if I would hear that semi-auto disconnect. So the next time I go, I'll make note of that, because if that's the case, then I know the semi-automatic disconnector is functioning and it's more than likely a firing pin issue. But just to demonstrate again, or just to demonstrate how it was happening, so you know what I'm talking about. And these are all empty spent cartridges from the range, primers popped and everything. Let's just recreate a day at the range. Okay, so now we have one in the chamber and rounds on the feed tray. Someone mentioned online that maybe introducing the ammunition was causing friction, and that friction was making it so the hammer wasn't getting pushed down because the bolt wasn't traveling far enough back. More on that in a sec, but if I charge the rifle, it ejects that spent cartridge, and I let go, the bolt gets stuck to the rear. So there is friction from there being cartridges on the feed tray in a belt, but it goes home if I give it a slight tap. Oh, there, you can hear it there. So there is friction. That is a problem that I'll need to figure out and address. But if I look here, you know, how far back does this bolt have to come to reset the hammer on this AR-15 fire control group? And the answer is the tip of the bolt just has to come far enough back to get behind the bottom of this cartridge, which is far enough back to reset the hammer. So there we go. So if I pull the trigger real quick, it's not chambered or anything, hammer drops, hammer drops. Now if I pull it back to just having the bolt head behind the feed tray here, if I let go of the trigger, disconnect, hammer drop. So because it was running away and slam firing on me, I know that the bolt was coming far enough back to strip the round, therefore far enough back to reset the hammer on that semi-automatic disconnect. So that wasn't the issue. Another suggestion was maybe the rear of this bolt, when it travels forward, was hitting the back or the top of the hammer, causing it to fly forward. But that's not the case. I didn't notice any wear on the back of this bolt. If I quickly disconnect it or disassemble it, I'll show you what it looks like. By quickly, I mean as soon as I can get this disassembled. A little tricky sometimes. Oh, well, first I need to reset the hammer. So now take the bolt out. BRP second gen bolt. They were talking about this part right here hitting the back of the hammer and causing it to fly forward, but I tried inducing it in the rifle. That wouldn't happen. So there is wear, but I was messing around with something else doing that. If I just disassemble this real quick, we'll get back to the firing pin idea. Someone suggested maybe it has something to do with the weight of the firing pin, because this is substantially larger and longer than the stock full auto firing pin, which is about this long. His solution was, because he was also having these slam fire issues, he made his firing pin out of titanium to lessen the weight, keep its strength and rigidity. So I'm going to ask him more about that. His other suggestion was, because of the high velocity of the bolt in these MG42s, his solution was to get rid of the recoil spring here, or not spring, recoil buffer spring here, and replace it with leather pads. My concern with that is because this is a re-weld, that without this buffer system, the receiver would get beat to shit and split down the seams, torn apart by its own recoil. So gotta ask him more about that. But if there's any other suggestions, please let me know. Right now I am thinking it is having something to do with the weight of this firing pin. I haven't weighed it just yet. I probably should have done that before the video, but I'll do that next and get back on the guild and see what the guys say.